The Shield just experienced the most impossible rebirth in WWE history as Roman Reigns shockingly returned to save Seth Rollins from the Vision's brutal assault, and if you're not absolutely stunned by the sight of the tribal chief putting aside years of betrayal and pain to rescue his former brother, you clearly don't understand the magnitude of forgiveness and brotherhood that just redefined everything we thought we knew about the Shield's fractured relationships. What we witnessed wasn't just a surprise return, it was the healing of wounds that seemed permanently infected, proving that some bonds are strong enough to survive even the most devastating betrayals. The image of Roman Reigns standing protectively over Seth Rollins' broken body while fighting off the Vision's entire faction will be remembered as one of the most powerful moments of redemption and brotherhood in professional wrestling history. This wasn't just unexpected, it was impossible according to everything we knew about their bitter history, yet Roman chose forgiveness over grudges and proved that true family protects each other even when they don't deserve it. Roman Reigns just saved Seth Rollins. The Shield is reborn. This is absolutely unbelievable. Those weren't just shocked words from emotional commentators, they were tearful declarations that wrestling's most legendary brotherhood has somehow survived years of betrayal, ego, and separation to emerge stronger than ever. The genuine emotion in their voices captured how meaningful this reunion truly is. You want to talk about moments that restore faith and loyalty and brotherhood? Roman Reigns didn't just help Seth because it was strategic or beneficial, he saved his former brother because deep down, despite everything Seth has done, Roman still considers him family and couldn't stand by watching him get destroyed. The unconditional nature of that protection is what makes the Shield's bond so special and enduring. The setup for this rebirth was perfectly designed to create maximum emotional impact. Seth Rollins was being systematically destroyed by the Vision in a brutal beatdown that had gone on for several minutes with no help coming when suddenly the arena went completely dark and that unmistakable Shield siren filled the building, creating instant pandemonium as fans realized what was about to happen. But here's what makes this return absolutely different from typical wrestling reunions: Roman didn't emerge with fanfare or celebration. He stormed down that ramp with fury in his eyes, not to celebrate brotherhood but to fight for it. The desperation and intensity showed this wasn't about nostalgia, it was about protecting family even when that family has hurt you repeatedly. The most powerful moment came when Roman and Seth locked eyes after Roman cleared the ring of Vision members. There was no immediate reconciliation or emotional embrace, just a long, heavy silence where years of pain, betrayal, and regret passed between them without words. The complexity of their emotions was palpable and impossible to fake. Here's a question that's going to reveal the emotional depth of this moment. Did you notice how both Roman and Seth had tears in their eyes during that initial confrontation, suggesting this reunion meant more to both of them than either would ever verbally admit? The actual fight that followed was vintage Shield coordination despite years of separation. Roman and Seth moved together with the instinctive chemistry that made them legendary, protecting each other's blind spots and executing tandem offense that sent Vision members scrambling. The muscle memory of brotherhood was undeniable. But the most shocking aspect was Roman's motivation for returning. Instead of waiting for Seth to grovel or apologize, Roman took the microphone and explained his reasoning in the most profound statement about forgiveness in WWE history. "Seth has betrayed me more times than I can count. He's hurt me, disappointed me, and made me question whether brotherhood even matters. But when I saw the Vision destroying him, I realized something: I'd rather have a brother who disappoints me than watch that brother get destroyed and do nothing. Some bonds are too important to let pride destroy them." The admission that Roman chose brotherhood over pride even when Seth didn't deserve it created one of the most mature and emotionally resonant moments in wrestling. This wasn't typical "the enemy of my enemy is my friend" logic, this was genuine forgiveness from someone choosing love over justified resentment. Quick question for the forgiveness philosophy experts: does Roman's decision to help Seth despite not receiving an apology represent strength of character or enable Seth's pattern of betrayal without consequences? The most devastating moment came when Seth finally spoke and delivered what might be the most honest apology in WWE history. "Roman, I don't deserve your help. I betrayed you, I've hurt you, I've done everything possible to prove I'm not worthy of being your brother. But standing here now, watching you save me when you had every right to let them destroy me, I finally understand what the Shield actually meant. It wasn't about success or championships, it was about brothers who protect each other even when we don't deserve it." The raw vulnerability and genuine remorse in Seth's voice created authentic emotional catharsis. This wasn't a heel turning face through convenient circumstance, this was a man confronting his own pattern of betrayal and finally understanding the value of what he kept destroying. But the most important detail is what Roman demanded from Seth as condition for their reunion. "I'm not asking you to be perfect, Seth. I'm not even asking you to never disappoint me again. But I am asking you to understand that the Shield isn't just a name or a gimmick, it's a commitment to putting each other first even when it's hard. If you can make that commitment, then we're brothers again. If you can't, then this is just me helping someone in need, not a reunion." The specific conditions Roman set created accountability rather than unconditional acceptance. He's offering brotherhood but demanding genuine change, which shows emotional maturity and protects him from being manipulated by Seth's patterns. Here's another question about conditional forgiveness: is Roman's approach of offering reunion with specific behavioral conditions more or less effective than unconditional forgiveness? The most shocking development is that Jon Moxley apparently approved of Roman's decision to save Seth. Sources suggest Moxley and Roman discussed this beforehand, with the Death Rider agreeing that the Shield bond is worth preserving even if Seth has repeatedly failed to honor it. The unity between Roman and Moxley in this decision shows mature brotherhood. The testimonies from Moxley about why he supported Roman saving Seth reveal complex emotions. "I hate what Seth has done, and I'll never fully trust him again," Moxley reportedly said. "But I also recognize that Roman needs this reunion more than he admits. If helping Seth brings Roman peace and closure, then I support it even though it pisses me off." But perhaps the most powerful aspect of this reunion is what it represents for the Shield's legacy. After years of being defined by betrayal and separation, they're now being redefined by forgiveness and the willingness to give broken relationships another chance. The narrative evolution is profound and meaningful. The investigation into the long-term viability of this reunion reveals WWE is planning extended storytelling around whether Seth can actually maintain the behavioral changes required to preserve this brotherhood. This isn't just a feel-good moment, it's the beginning of examining whether people can genuinely change. The fan reaction to the Shield's rebirth has been absolutely overwhelming, with social media flooded with emotional responses. Wrestling fans worldwide are expressing genuine joy at seeing the brotherhood restored while also remaining cautious about whether Seth will inevitably betray them again. Here's a question about fan cynicism: is it healthy for fans to remain skeptical about Seth's ability to maintain this reunion, or does that cynicism prevent us from appreciating the redemption story? The most controversial aspect of this reunion is whether it rewards Seth's pattern of betrayal by giving him another chance he hasn't truly earned. Critics argue that Roman enabling Seth's behavior by repeatedly forgiving him creates a cycle where Seth never faces permanent consequences for his actions. The testimonies from psychology experts reveal divided opinions. "Forgiveness is healthy and necessary for healing," one psychologist noted. "But forgiveness without accountability can enable toxic patterns. Roman needs to maintain boundaries or he's just setting himself up to be hurt again." But the most important question is whether Seth is capable of the commitment Roman demands. His entire career has been defined by putting self-interest first. Can someone fundamentally change their nature, or will Seth inevitably revert to the selfish patterns that have defined him? The investigation into Seth's current mindset reveals he's apparently committed to proving he can maintain this reunion. Sources suggest he's been meeting with wrestlers who have successfully overcome their own destructive patterns, seeking advice on genuine personal change rather than just performing reformation. The comparison to other wrestling redemption stories reveals the Shield's rebirth might be the most complex. Stone Cold's redemption was straightforward hero turn, Edge's return was triumphant comeback, but Seth's situation requires proving he can change fundamental character flaws that have destroyed relationships repeatedly. Here's a question for the character development experts: what specific behaviors would Seth need to consistently demonstrate to prove he's genuinely changed rather than just temporarily behaving better? The most terrifying implication for the Vision is that they've inadvertently created the worst possible scenario for themselves. Their brutal assault on Seth was designed to destroy him but instead triggered the Shield's reunion, meaning they now face the most legendary faction in WWE history united by genuine brotherhood. The testimonies from Vision members reveal genuine panic about facing the Shield. "We thought we were fighting Seth Rollins alone," one anonymous member revealed. "Now we're facing Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins working together, and potentially Jon Moxley if he fully commits to this reunion. We may have made a catastrophic mistake." But the most shocking development is that the Vision's leader has apparently gone silent since Roman's return. The mysterious figure who has orchestrated everything is reportedly reconsidering their entire strategy now that the Shield has reformed. The psychological impact has been devastating. The revelation that the Shield's reunion has created strategic chaos for their enemies shows the power of their bond. Even the most calculating adversaries apparently didn't anticipate that Roman would choose forgiveness over revenge, meaning they're unprepared for facing a united Shield. The most important consideration is whether Jon Moxley will fully embrace this reunion or remain skeptical of Seth. His approval of Roman's decision doesn't necessarily mean he's ready to trust Seth himself, creating potential tension within the reformed Shield. Here's a question about brotherhood dynamics: can the Shield function if Moxley and Roman trust each other but both remain cautious about Seth, or does the faction require all three to have equal trust? The investigation into Moxley's position reveals he's apparently taking a trust but verify approach. He supports the reunion because Roman needs it, but he's made clear to Seth that trust must be earned through consistent action rather than just words and temporary good behavior. But perhaps the most powerful moment that hasn't been discussed enough is Roman's body language throughout this reunion. Despite offering forgiveness, his posture remained cautious and protective rather than open and celebratory. The physical distance he maintained from Seth shows that forgiveness doesn't equal blind trust. The most shocking theory is that Roman's true motivation for this reunion isn't about Seth at all, it's about Roman's own psychological need for the Shield to represent redemption rather than permanent failure. By proving brotherhood can survive betrayal, Roman validates his entire identity and legacy. The coming weeks will reveal whether the Shield's rebirth represents genuine healing and redemption or another chapter in the cycle of betrayal that has defined them. Either way, Roman's decision to save Seth has created the most emotionally complex and meaningful reunion in wrestling history. Here's a final question for the entire WWE universe: do you believe the Shield's reunion will last and Seth has genuinely changed, or is this just setting up another inevitable betrayal that will destroy them all permanently? The wrestling world is celebrating the Shield's impossible rebirth as Roman Reigns chose forgiveness over grudges to save Seth Rollins from destruction. This wasn't just a reunion, it was a statement about the power of brotherhood to survive even the most devastating betrayals when both parties are willing to work toward healing. Roman didn't excuse Seth's behavior, but he chose to protect his brother anyway, proving that some bonds transcend individual failures. The Shield is reborn, and their story has transformed from tragedy about betrayal into redemption about forgiveness. The Shield's rebirth represents everything beautiful about wrestling storytelling, the ability to create redemption from betrayal and prove that broken relationships can be repaired when love overcomes pride. Roman Reigns saving Seth Rollins despite years of hurt wasn't weakness or enabling, it was the ultimate expression of brotherhood that refuses to let past failures destroy future possibilities. Whether this reunion succeeds long-term depends on Seth's ability to honor the commitment Roman demands, but the willingness of both men to try creates the most emotionally resonant story WWE has told in years. The Shield strikes again, together.